Yeah, we got two more films to talk about before ending this episode. So, the first of the two, both kind of comparable in the action genre, both on Netflix. And this one is sci-fi action that came out this year in January. So, again, January releases. Let's all, hold the phone with our expectations a little bit. But it's on Netflix. It's called Outside the Wire. Outside the Wire. I watched it again, I think on Sunday, on the same time I watched Scanners. But in this film, it's in the future. I believe the year is 2036 or something around that time frame, and it's about this drone pilot in a war in, I forget, it's somewhere I think in the Ukraine or near Russia. But it's in a war zone, and this drone pilot does something in the line of duty, in the line of combating this drone, that doesn't really get him in the good graces of his higher ups, and therefore is deployed and stationed with this guy called Captain Leo, who's played by Anthony Mackie, in a war zone, in this particular war zone, and that's kind of where Anthony Mackie, Captain Leo, is on a mission to find and kill notable terrorist, basically. And that's a synopsis, basically. That's what the film's about. That's what the trailer will tell you. Like I said, not very notable cast other than Anthony Mackie, who plays Captain Leo. Michael Kelly, who played Doug in House of Cards, who I think is incredibly underrated. He's in this, and I'm always happy to see him. I wish he was in so much more, because Doug from House of Cards is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, side character in TV show ever. But yeah, he's great. I mean, he's not in the film a lot, but Anthony Mackie is, and he's great. So, like I said, I had higher expectations from this one than I did The Little Things, because I didn't hear anything about this film, and it's a sci-fi action, and with that genre, I mean, that genre has so many great films. I'm talking Aliens, the sequel to Alien, James Cameron Aliens, which is a sci-fi action. Alien is a cosmic horror film. Aliens is a sci-fi action film. It's a pretty big difference. District 9, Elysium, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Snowpiercer, RoboCop, just to name a few. These are really great films, and some of them are classic and iconic and influential films. So yeah, the sci-fi action has a lot of incredible, really high quality films. So, to live up to that is a very steep, it's a rough task to ask. And so I did kind of have some higher expectations for this one, so take that what you will. But I mean, the film, I think, does, I think the opening, is quite solid when, our main character, the drone pilot, Harper, does what he does. I think that whole sequence is really good, and it's probably the most interesting Harper gets as a character, which is disappointing, which, we'll get into a little bit more. Anthony Mackie's character, Captain Leo. I mean, Anthony Mackie is just a really likable actor, and I mean, he doesn't really do anything different in this film that he does in other films. He's just kind of Anthony Mackie. He's just one of those actors that's just kind of himself. Weirdly, I would describe him as Jeff Goldblum. I don't think Jeff Goldblum really acts in films. He's just kind of himself. He's just kind of Jeff Goldblum, but we love him for it. And Anthony Mackie, yeah, he's not as iconic and as Jeff Goldblum is, but I just like Anthony Mackie for Anthony Mackie. He's just a likable guy. That's why he's in the Marvel films. That's why he's Falcon. But he's the same here. He's just a likable guy. And I honestly think this film would have benefited a lot more if he was actually just our main protagonist, our main character. I think this film would have benefited immensely from just doing that, instead of having this Harper character that over the course of the film you just like less and less. But anyway, the action in this film, especially out of the gunfighting scenes, is quite good. It's entertaining enough, and I think there's one scene in particular that uses some CGI with these things called Gumps that are in the film. Not Forrest Gump, not Forrest Gump, but they're like android robots that are like fighters. They have, this is like where war is going, the technology age, the artificial intelligence age now, when in 2036 we have these like big, like thick, like robot fighter soldiers now, and like obviously are animated with CGI, and there's a very awesome scene where a bunch of those Gumps go off and fight against another side's Gumps, and it's very unique, and I think they both look very different depending on the side. I thought that was a really cool scene. I really liked that. So when the gunfights happen, it's really cool. But we'll get into some parts of the action that I think aren't the best. But I think the Gumps and the design of the Gumps are also really great, and they're also very uniquely designed. Because when I watched the film and I saw that they had some like robot soldiers, I was kind of afraid they were going to rip off Elysium and like Chappie, or like Code. I think it's Code 8's like robots. They look very humanoid. They're almost kind of like slick and thin. And they look durable, but not as durable as these chunky boys like myself. These thick robots are very thick. They have like padding, like army padding all over it. The head looks a little bit different. It's like a camera, which I thought was really cool. Some of the unique ways where like one of the Gumps on like I guess it's like a Russian Gump, where it's like it just kind of like goes down on all fours, and like a 50 caliber like gun just like gets mounted on his shoulder and like turns over and starts firing. It's pretty cool. I thought the designs of those were really sick. I think some of the sci-fi elements that this film plays with, particularly with Captain Leo's character, because something is very interesting about Captain Leo's character that's very different, but I'm not going to spoil that. I mean, if you watch the trailer, but I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't. But dealing with his character, I think there's some sci-fi elements and concepts that are explored on a minor level. They're not expanded fully, and I think used to their full potential in this film, like I think it could have been if Captain Leo was our main character. But still, I think it does a decent amount enough to like keep you intrigued a little bit and still stick with that sci-fi action genre. So I did like that, but I mean I did wish it kind of would have expanded on it a little bit more. There's like a sort of twist or like reveal or turn of events at the end that does kind of recontextualize things for you a little bit, and like kind of views a certain character in a different light, which I enjoyed. I thought it was kind of cool, but again, would have been a little bit better if that character was our main character. A little bit of a spoiler, I guess. But yeah. Now, to kind of go on to like what this film I think could have done a lot better was, let's go back to the action. I mean, this is a sci-fi action film. Now, I say the gunfights and like the Gumps, like when they're involved, I think it looks really cool. But whenever the film gets into like the close combat action, it gets very jump cutty, and it gets very like it's edited very like quickly. Like think about, Fast and Furious fight scenes, like fist fight scenes. Like it's so quick cutted that you can't really see what the fuck's going on and where characters are in like certain spaces. And that's something that it's like kind of a pet peeve of mine in action films. Like when your action film does that, it's taken down a lot for me, because I've seen action films that don't do that. And we're going to be talking about another one at my last topic of this episode that does not do that on any level. But like, yeah, whenever you're filming like quick cuts and like a particular shaky cam is really annoying. I think only one film franchise that actually does that well is the Bourne franchise. And that film gets away with it because I feel like the character of Jason Bourne is a lot better than any character that any other of these jump cutty action films have. I think that's the reason why it gets, and I don't know, just like that film does it differently and does it well for some reason. I don't know why. Also, the CGI, when it's used, is kind of noticeable, I think. But I mean, you kind of have to understand, like this isn't a high-budget Nolan film. They can't actually shoot an RPG at a building, like in Nolan films. But like when like CGI is used in like those action scenes, it is noticeable and it does kind of look a little bit cheap. I mean, the Gumps look great, but like that's about it of the visual effects that I think actually kind of look decent. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I didn't notice it, and that's good. I don't want to. I should notice your CGI, but when I do, it's noticeable, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit. What am I gonna say next? Let me look at my notes because I can't read apparently. But yeah, like I said before, with the sci-fi concepts with Captain Leo, again, I kind of wish they were expanded on a little bit, and I think it would definitely the film would have benefited a lot more if you did expand on them. And that I think a way to do that is to completely scrap the Harper character. I mean, like I said, the beginning, he's intriguing, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, this might be an actually interesting character, but over time, like, I don't know, I disliked him more and more as the film progressed, and I feel like you don't want that to happen, especially with the, like, you know, the reveal and turn of events that this film takes. So I think a way to expand on those themes is if you make Captain Leo and Anthony Mackie our main protagonist and just completely scrap Harper as a character. But, you know, I guess you want that drone pilot, you know, technological finding a war behind a screen element to it. I guess you want that. I think that's important for the film's theme a little bit. So I understand why you have it. But again, the one thing that this film I feel fails to do, that other sci-fi action films like District 9, or like RoboCop do, that this film doesn't, is it understands tone and atmosphere and I guess feeling of a film. Like when I watch District 9 or Elysium, that director has this certain like dirty grittiness to his film and his action that has this like realistic element to it. And like, yeah, those films are definitely a lot more violent than this one. But I mean, I feel like, yeah, like weirdly, I think your film can actually benefit from like holy shit violence, especially if it's a war film, if it's dealing with a war. Like, yeah, you want it to have that grittiness to it, especially if you want your themes of your film like this one to really pack a punch. You know, that's why District 9 and Elysium, like their themes pack a punch, even though Elysium's message is a little bit heavy-handed. But I mean, they still get the point across, and their atmosphere and tone and the grittiness to it helps that and enhances that. And I feel like this film doesn't really get that. It just kind of, it feels like I've watched it before, and it feels like it's like a basic sci-fi action film, which is very unfortunate. Like whenever you watch, say, like a Fincher film or Tarantino or Spielberg or Scorsese or Nolan, like I feel like you can tell you're watching a Fincher, Tarantino, Nolan, Spielberg film. Like you can tell. Like Fincher has this clean, like I don't know, like dark, like grittiness to it. Like it's I don't know, it's not gritty, but like it's clean and it's dark. I feel like his films. Like when you watch a David Fincher film, try to notice it a little bit. Like look at the shots and the way it's lit and everything. It's different. It's unique. Tarantino, obviously, with the dialogue and the excessive, like ridiculous, almost comic booky violence. Like you know it's a Fincher film. You know, Spielberg with the fantasticalness almost. I mean, obviously his like gritty, grounded films like Saving Private Ryan, but like those, I don't know, like with E.T. or Jaws or I don't know, other Spielberg films like Indiana Jones, like this very grand, like epicness to it. I feel like you I don't know, like you get the feel and tone of their films, and I think this film just fails to do that. So overall, it's not a bad film by any means. I think it has some solid action. Anthony Mackie has some likable characters, like Anthony Mackie as Captain Leo. Some sci-fi concepts that are discussed are cool, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. But like again, doesn't do anything more to expand upon it to make it like definitive sci-fi. So with that thing, it kind of has this same feel that The Little Things do, even though this film I feel like is a lot better than The Little Things because at least it has the action and likable characters that The Little Things doesn't. But like I still kind of have a similar opinion. Like it's kind of just mediocre and forgettable. And with that, it doesn't. It does it have the movie magic? No, I don't think it does. I really wouldn't recommend this one to anyone. Like I wouldn't recommend The Little Things to anyone. Like I'll probably forget this film by the end of the year. You know, when I make my top 10 of 2021, like I go over all the films that I did see in the year. And I honestly might forget these two, to be honest, because I mean, again, they both come out in January, and that means something sometimes. I mean, I know like we've been getting some surprises here and there in the past couple of years, but generally a lot of films that come out in January are just kind of stinkers. I mean, again, both of these films aren't particular stinkers, they're just very forgettable. But I mean, if you want to watch Outside the Wire, it's all available on Netflix, so check it out. Hello there, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, this is Nerd Out Sanctuary. I'm your host, Michael. What do I talk about, you say? Well, I talk about anything nerdy. So that's movies, video games, TV shows, comic books every once in a while. Books, maybe not, I don't know. Anything that I feel like talking about. I'm a huge nerd. I hope you're a huge nerd, and I hope we can enjoy our nerdiness together here. This is a full audio podcast available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the major podcast platforms. So consider going over to those and checking out the full version of the episode. And other past episodes, please leave me a review and subscribe on those platforms. If you don't want to do that, clipped, shorter versions of those full episodes will be posted here on YouTube. So consider subscribing and liking the videos for more to support me and future content that I will be producing in the future on nerdy stuff. So yeah, thank you, and see you on the next one.